What's going on, YouTube and Yacht Squad? This is your boy Yocrates. This is your review for Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4. I believe this is episode 16. Since they do breaks and whatnot, it kind of gets the numbering kind of thrown off. And I don't think I did the last couple episodes. That's not the point, but we're here for this review. I want to say I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's mostly because this is giving me the true love and marriage, aspect of it, and not the love and hip hop marriage Atlanta that we've been getting, even though that's going to be coming up later in the season. Anyway, so we start off with Mel and Martell. So Mel is doing a hosting gig. This is Martell's weekend, and Martell decides to bring their children to the event, and it was a beautiful thing. But obviously, because look, I'm very cynical, and in general, when certain things happen, especially with people that I might be in conflict with, I'm always going to, question the motives. I may not say nothing to you about it, but I'm going to question it. And even before we got later on to the episode, it was clear, okay, you're doing this because you're trying to prove a point. Because in the first half of this season, you were very upset that Mel had the kids one weekend and you wanted them there for something and she didn't bring them. Now, in this particular case, Mel did not ask him to bring the kids, but he chose to. But obviously, he's still playing checkers in this particular case. Again, I'm a need for the Capricorn, delegation. It's a lot of Capricorns we trying to vote off. He's one. Robert Kelly is one. Val Richards is another one. Like, it's a lot of Capricorns that got to go. But anyway, so he brings the kids, and there's very awkward energy there, and rightfully so. Next scene, actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to save the couples retreat just for one particular thing, so I don't have to bounce between scenes. So in a different scene, we get Martell and Marlene. This is the kids' last day of school, so he's going to pick them up. And Marlene shares how he took the Martell shares how he took the kids to go support Melody, even though it was his weekend again, doing this on purpose, and also because there's cameras and it's being cataloged. This is probably him trying to set something up because they are going through a tumultuous time outside of the cameras. In present day, I haven't been keeping up with it because it's just like it's already bad enough I got to do the show. I'm not trying to sit here and do all this other stuff. Like, Carlos need to give them a gag order and be like, look, whatever y'all doing in the course, do in the course, but keep this off social media, but not my business. So Marlene talks about how Mel was saying that she said something about Vanessa and how she ain't saying nothing about her mom, but on rolls that beautiful bean footage. And we do see something. Now, was it like vile? Not necessarily. And this was more or less in support of her son, but it's the fact you did say something. So and it's like, let's not speak with such certainty, let's not paint with a broad brush. And Marlene says she will never be mean to Melody. Cool. And Martell wants his mom and Melody to, talk, have a conversation because, it might be helpful. So let's see. We get Melody and Stormy. She has a sound bowls, and I believe this is supposed to be like sound therapy. Is that the right name for it? Sound bath. But she has sound bowls in her Zen room, which is a beautiful thing. I'm here for it. I'm in the process of, creating my prayer room, which, will serve the same purpose. I feel that everybody needs to have a place in, their respective homes, apartments, or whatever, a room where you can just go and just escape. It don't even have to be spiritual. Just go, escape, calm yourself, release the negative energy and, whatever. Even though that's what the home should be, but you should just have a room dedicated to that. Just a room that has just nothing but positive energy. But back to this. So they talk about Melody's hosting event. And Mel said she did not know that Martell was coming. And I have no reason to believe that Melody is lying in this moment. And she hopes that for the sake of the kids that things will continue to, go in a positive route. Because again, at this point, the main people, we all know it, that's going to suffer from this is going to be the children. And she says she hasn't spoken to Marlene since 2021 because Marlene felt that she wasn't doing anything and was going to drive Martell into the ground. And that beautiful beam footage was shown then. And even with that, it's like, well, that's not true. And Melody even says, well, look at me now. You can see I don't have a lazy bone in my body. But not just that. If you look post divorce or even at the end of last season and the early parts of this season, who had the builder's license? Who had all the ducks in a row? Because let's be clear, however you want to look at it, and it doesn't matter who team you're on, but let's be honest. Melody had all her ducks in a row, and without Melody, there in essence wouldn't be the Martell that is there because again, he needed her. She didn't need him because she had everything that she needed, right? Okay. And all right, so now I can go back to my first page and we can talk about the couples retreat slash therapy retreat. So I got everything else in the episode out the way. So you have all the couples, and why is my watch going on? Oh, okay. So you have all the couples in addition to Dr. Francis and his wife. I believe her name was Marla. I believe. So Letitia and Marceau are going to be late. They're having a problem with the nanny, and they're in traffic. Which I think this was just Marceau just not really wanting to do it. So just, being resistant to the program. Dr. Francis said he's not here to fix them. That's a mechanic's job. But he wants to expose them um, to a way to kind of work through who they are. So then Tiffany has to take a work call. And she pretty much just said, oh, I got to take a work call, and gets up. And Dr. Francis is thrown off. And he pretty much questions the commitment to this whole entire process. Because, I mean, when that's the case, like, you have to be all in. You feel what I'm saying? And even me, I do therapy sessions like every 3 weeks. And regardless of what's going on, when I'm in those therapy sessions, that phone is off. Because it's literally just between myself and the therapist. So it should also be that to where you're here, you need to be devoted strictly to this. And Marceau and Letitia finally arrive, and we find out just shy of them getting there that they got news that Letitia lost a friend. And because Dr. Francis can see this, his thing is eventually he will address the whole them being tardy and late and whatnot, but right now is not the time. But Marcel feels that this couples retreat slash therapy retreat is going to be a much needed distraction from what news they just got. So Dr. Francis writes on the board, you are only successful as your last successful challenge. And he's like, there's going to be challenges every minute of every day in a marriage. And then Dr. Francis says to Tiffany, you got up and you said nothing. And pretty much I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. He said to Tiffany, you got up and said nothing. And then he turns to Lewis and said, and you provided a reason, pretty much just defending why what just happened. And right here, he's trying to show the imbalance in their relationship and trying to get Lou to understand, like, the part that he's playing in, the chaos that exists within their marriage. He wants Lou to lose his fear because he feels like Lou is not going to say certain things for fear of what is going to come from his wife. And says, you are not saying anything is going to stunt your growth. Tiffany says she was waiting for all the other couples to be in the session. So what she's doing here is rather than take accountability and say, you know what, my bad, I apologize. It's rather than me own it. I really hate that phrase now, especially because of Lisa running from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But rather than her just, own her ish, it's, oh, well, I was just waiting for the other couples to come. So now we're deflecting. And Dr. Francis tells her, you're not here for the other couples. You are here for you. I'm like, you better tell her. So Tiffany says, work is a priority, but this will be my priority. And Lewis knew I had a 30-minute call, and I I couldn't move it off my schedule. Dr. Francis then says to her, "You're going to schedule your way out of your marriage when your spouse comes second place." And we all know that in any type of relationship that you make time for what you want. And that's just facts. Where and in like you have a lot of people that be like, "Oh well, my spouse, partner, whatever is too busy to cheat." Oh, if a mug want to cheat, oh, they gonna make time to cheat because that's what they want to do, and they gonna put that time there, and if somebody like people will make the time is ultimately what I'm saying. I'm not trying to go around the mulberry bush. So Tiffany says they are in unison with what is going on. Dr. Francis feels there won't be any change then. Tiffany feels that Dr. Francis is saying only his way is right, and no, what it is you feel that your way is right and you don't want to be challenged. You don't want to open yourself up to the possibility that there may be other tools that can help you in your marriage. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna just keep going. Kimmy chimes in and says that she was under the impression that there were already imbalances in their relationship involving work and home, which we all know that and see that. Tiffany says she 100% when she's at work and 100% at home. Now, it will be different had she said, "I give 100% when I'm at work and I give 100% when I'm at home." But no. She says, "I'm 100% in both areas." And Kimmy's like, "You can't be 100% in both. Like, that's mathematically impossible." So now they play a game, and they have to. So pretty much each couple has to tie a rope around their legs. So one on their right leg, the other one on the left leg, and they have to walk for 10 to 15 minutes. And the whole purpose of it was seeing how well they can work together, and because there tends to be a power imbalance in most relationships where both people are trying to take charge rather than work together and they be in unison. And he even said to them, "Your legs tied together is y'all within this union. That is, y'all coupled together." And that shows where some of y'all problems may lie, but y'all legs on the outside is your individual parts, and you have to kind of find the balance there. And during the exercise, you see that Letitia and Marceau were in unison. And it could be because they have their relationship roles and they work within it, but they were in unison and they were doing good. You had Kimmy, where Kimmy was just trying to get Maurice, because they were pretty much the worst in my book, but she was trying to get him to understand, "You're holding me too tight." And his thing is, "Okay, well, I'm gonna just let you go." Not understanding is she says, "You're holding me too tight." She didn't say, "You're holding me," meaning just loosen up the grip. So again, a lot of what they were experiencing in the moment is indicative of what many of them are, going through in marriages. And sometimes simple little games can provide, massive insight. Um, all right. Let's see. So it's the end of the night. The couples are getting cleaned up to have dinner. Marceau thought that this was going to be a couples retreat, not couples counseling. Maurice is telling Kimmy that during the exercise, pretty much your way didn't work, and when we started to do it my way, it began to work. And it's just like, dude, dude, but I'm gonna let it go. So at dinner, they discussed the day. Tisha, questions like how is it with the sharing of time, and it's one of those where sharing time between her children and her husband, because with her kids for the most part being young, and I think they're now reaching that part to where they don't need her anymore, but it's like you give all this attention to the children and now they get to an age to where they don't need you anymore. And Dr. Francis says, you're doing a good job when you teach your children independence, because that is what you should be doing, because the last thing that we need to be doing is to create very dependent children, because that's more of a hindrance to them than that is to their benefit. But teaching them certain skills to gain independence, i.e., one thing I can't stand is gender roles that we have in society, because obviously it's the whole thing of women should be cooking and cleaning this and that, and the men shouldn't. Granted, My parents were divorced when I was 2, and I had to learn to fend for myself. So at the age of, I want to say about a good 9, maybe 10, I wasn't the best cook, but I knew what I was doing in the kitchen, and I was able to cook for myself because, again, my mom, like, we woke up early in the morning because, mom got us ready, then she went off to work. She'd get home around about 7, take about an hour out to herself. Food is on the table around about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then we go to bed, wake up, and do it again. So by the time I get out of school to by the time she get home, there's food on the table. That's a lot of time to not be eating. But me learning how to do for myself and doing laundry and cleaning and all this other stuff, for me, it's just these are skills that everybody should have, not me being dependent on someone to do these things for me. So again, creating independent children, it makes it easy, especially when you are married and you're now having to give some of this energy back to your spouse because, of course, you've been lacking in that department, right? I done went off on the tangent. But then he even mentions, you might end up suffering from empty nest syndrome. So then Lloyd, I said, no, Lord, I call the man Lord. Lewis shares, about the empty nest, about how, their kids are teenagers and whatnot. So, they will be having to deal with that soon. Tiffany says, well, she wants another child, but doesn't want it if Lou doesn't want it. And, Lewis even brings up, her being adopted, and maybe this might be playing into them having a child. And we did find out that when they got married, they were not trying to have a child together. In the years after being married, they joked about having a child, so now she wants to have a child. Now, look, whether or not this is for a storyline or not, I'm not here to debate it. But Dr. Francis probes and is able to inform her that you had 3 losses. Your first loss were your parents giving you shortly after you were born. That is a loss. And that is abandonment and rejection. And then your adoptive parents, because she admitted that they suffer from substance abuse, because they were dealing with their own demons, they did not have that time to, truly sow into you. So that is another loss. And then her being married and divorced, that is a third loss. So he feels that she may have this thing where, she might attach herself or detach herself. And I'll get to in a second. And then Lou says, he understands because, he's been divorced and he's experienced things. And Dr. Francis informs him that if you think your way through emotions, that you will distance yourself from it, but you never get to work through it. And then he says to Tiffany, having a child might be you knowing that this child will not leave you and having this assurance that you will not be alone. And she begins to tear up, and she even says in her confessional that she never looked at it from this perspective of, I did like these 3 instances in my life. She never looked at it as a loss. But I'm pretty sure she probably didn't, dive deep into that and really sit in that. And again, this is one of those good things about therapy where, you get a different outlook, and sometimes just a different outlook or perspective on something, can work wonders. So Marceau asks Tiffany with the discussion of time from earlier, how will this work with them having a child? Tiffany pretty much says she thrives in chaos, which a lot of us do. But then he asked a great question. So you're going to bring your child into chaos? And she was just like, well, it's not like I'm planning and, I didn't plan the other one. So, which is true. Most people don't plan to have children. It's just, hey, you're married, you're doing the thing, you're not wearing protection, boom, a child comes. But even still is, life happens. We all know. But if you can help it, it's probably best that you get all of your ducks in a row before bringing in a child. And make sure that y'all handle y'all that. Make sure that everything is flowing the way that you need to. Because in bringing in a child, yeah, you're going to have to divert attention. And you may not be able to fully give of yourself. And now you're going to have to make sacrifices because, again, the child wasn't planned. And now here we go. Now you have the opportunity to, plan and make sure that everything is right. And yes, bringing the child into chaos, it doesn't serve the child. And because you want a child, this is one of those where it's very self-serving, and you could do damage to this child by bringing them into a very toxic, nasty situation, all because you want a child to fulfill a void within yourself. Dr. Francis didn't say all that. I'm just saying that. So Marceau, nope, said that already. All right, so Dr. Francis asked Lou if he reads psychology books because of how, he's answering stuff and, throwing stuff out there. And he says, because of how you're responding. And he says, giving advice slash an outlook without internalizing it means that you don't have to be vulnerable. And Lou disagrees, and Kimmy says to them, Dr. Francis is providing you insight based off of his years of marriage and based off of what he has seen today. And rather than, be receptive to it and whatnot, you're choosing to go against it. And you can't give, it's like you can give advice, but you can't take it. And there was some more stuff said, but I don't want to talk about it because we're literally going to pick right back up at the very end of that. But I want to end here. So that is the episode, and like I said, I enjoyed it, especially with the whole therapy and them working through stuff, and not just it's Dr. Francis versus them, but even them as a group being able to kind of talk to each other and coach each other. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Like it doesn't always have to be bickering and fighting, but just this type of insight. And I really hope that not only do the couples themselves benefit, but hopefully for any couples that we're watching or even individuals that they're able to, glean and, take from. Because I posted on my Facebook something that I posted years ago. You can learn lessons from other people's mistakes because you're not going to live long enough to make them all yourself. And I'm going to leave y'all with that. So thank you all so much for watching. The next video for me will be, I was about to say Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives of Atlanta, reunion part 1. That will be tomorrow. And then, of course, the Whether You Like It or Not panel Tuesday. I believe we're going to be at Terrence's house. I could be wrong, but just make sure you subscribe to everybody. That way, you'll know. And yeah, that's all I got. So if I didn't say it already, because I think, whatever, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. Have a beautiful Sunday evening. And I hope that this upcoming week is, blessed and prosperous for us all. And I will see you all for the next video. Peace.